Hi, and welcome to the next lesson in our backlink analysis course and our section on how links work. In this lesson, we'll talk about how links pass value and how the search engines recognize and respond to that value. To start, think about why it is that websites link to each other. Let's say you're on a website, like the Forbes Entrepreneurs site in this example, and the writer is talking about content marketing. You can see that in this blog post, the writer has included an external branded link to the Beginner's Guide to SEO, which lives on Moz.com. So when you click on the words The Beginner's Guide to SEO, you get taken away from the Forbes website and you end up on this Moz page instead. Clearly, this means that the Forbes writer thought that the Beginner's Guide to SEO would be a valuable additional resource for readers of his article. In fact, he thinks the Beginner's Guide is such a valuable resource that he's willing to send visitors away from his website to the Moz website, at least temporarily. A link from one website to another is like a thumbs up or a vote or an endorsement of that second website. So when that Forbes writer links to Moz in our example, he's sending a positive signal to the search engines. He's saying, hey Google, here I am writing an article on SEO and content marketing, and I think this page on Moz.com is relevant, authoritative, and trustworthy when it comes to those particular topics. He's encouraging the search engines to recognize a relationship between his page and Moz's page, and he's voluntarily sending some link equity our way. If you've looked into the topic of backlink analysis or link building at all, you may have heard the term link equity before. This is the language we'll be using throughout this course to describe the measure of value that's passed from website to website using links. For visualization purposes, we'll think of each website as having a piggy bank full of link equity that it can pay forward to other sites. Link equity can work on a macro scale between websites, like we saw in that last example, and also on a micro scale within the pages of your own website. So you have your home page, and of course you have your sitemap and your robots.txt file that are there to help search engines find their way around your site. But you also probably link to some other pages within your website from your homepage. These are called internal links. Here's an example website with some internal links on it. On the sausagemaker.com homepage, we see some internal links that you can click on to get to product pages for ham and bacon tools, sharpening stones for grinders, and then seasonings and spices. Each of these internal links passes an equal amount of link equity to the page it links to. So when Google is crawling this website, it's going to pay an equal amount of attention to each one of these internal links, and it should crawl all three of them with the same frequency. Assuming there's nothing in the sitemap or robots.txt file that tells it otherwise, Google will recognize the same relationship level between the Sausage Maker homepage and each one of these internal pages. External links between websites pass on link equity too. In fact, how much link equity a particular page has is one of the primary factors that Google uses in deciding how that page should be ranked in the search results. The more pages that link to the Sausage Maker website, or the more votes it gets, and the higher quality those pages are, the more link equity it will accumulate. As the Sausage Maker earns more and better links from other sites, Google will tend to start ranking it higher and higher in relevant searches. So you can see why earning link equity, and specifically earning high quality links from high quality websites, is such an important part of your SEO strategy. Now, if you're a Moz software user, you've probably seen the term domain authority, abbreviated as DA in the Moz bar, attached to your website or your competitor sites. Domain authority is a metric developed by Moz, and what it generally does is predicts how well a website will rank in the search results. The reason it's relevant to our discussion of link equity is that the domain authority metric is based entirely on the quality and quantity of backlinks to a website. So your domain authority score is a pretty good indicator of how much link equity your website currently has. As you build more and better backlinks to your site, and if you choose to work on getting rid of some of your low-quality backlinks where necessary, you'll hopefully see this number go up. You can find your website's domain authority score within the Link Explorer tool in the Overview dashboard. Or if you have the Moz bar turned on, you can see the domain authority of your website or any website right here in that toolbar. Page authority is a similar Moz metric that tells you something about the link equity of a specific page of your website, rather than the website as a whole. This metric is calculated by taking into account both the external links pointing to a specific page of your website and the internal links that you've added to that page from other pages within your own site. You can also find the page authority score by visiting the Moz bar or entering a specific URL into the Overview tab in Link Explorer. So 3 things that are important to remember so you don't get too frustrated as you work on improving your overall domain authority or the page authority of a specific page. First, these Moz metrics are logarithmic, not linear. Second, they're relative metrics based on the machine learning calculations. And third, they're best used as comparative tools, not absolute ones. Here's what those 3 things mean for you as you're thinking about improving your metrics. Domain and page authority both run on a 100-point scale, and they're both logarithmic calculations. So your domain authority before you put any effort into link building could be anywhere from 0 to 100, with the greatest likelihood being that you're somewhere in the 20 to 50 point range. If you're a brand new website, your domain authority will always start at 1. As your site earns more link equity, your domain authority will probably go up over time, but the logarithmic aspect of this calculation means it's much easier to gain points when you're at the bottom end of the scale than it is to move your score even a little bit when you're at the very top of the scale. It's way harder to increase your domain authority from 70 to 80 than it is to increase it from 20 to 30. So because of that, there are very few websites with really high domain authorities, and these are mostly sites like Wikipedia or Google.com itself, because those sites have such a huge number of high-quality websites linking to them. The graph trend line on this page shows you how few sites there are with domain authorities of, say, 90, as opposed to the many, many sites with domain authorities of 20 or lower. Also, domain and page authority are relative metrics based on machine learning calculations. That means a domain authority of 50 has no absolute value on its own because it isn't calculated in a vacuum. That score is a comparison between that website and every other website in the Moz index. So if a Wikipedia currently has a domain authority of 92, which is already extremely high, and they suddenly earn 1 million more links than they had before, their domain authority won't just increase. Everyone's domain authority will also drop relative to Wikipedia's. The graph on the right here shows a hypothetical illustration of what could happen if Wikipedia earned a whole bunch of new links. So this is just for illustrative purposes and doesn't reflect accurate numbers, but it gives you an idea of what I mean here. Wikipedia's domain authority might go up ever so slightly if they earn a ton of new links, and it's only slight because of the logarithmic nature of the domain authority calculation. But that same occurrence would also cause other sites' domain authority to drop a relative amount. And finally, when you're thinking about goals related to domain and page authority, remember that these aren't absolute metrics with inherent value. They're best used as comparative tools. And in this case, it's appropriate to compare your numbers to the websites you're competing with in the SERPs. There's no such thing as a good or bad domain authority score. There's only a score that's higher or lower than your competitors, and that therefore predicts whether you'll get better search rankings than they will. In Moz's Link Explorer tool, you can click Compare Link Profiles in the left sidebar menu and enter your website, plus the URLs of up to 4 of your competitors. Link Explorer will show you a whole bunch of metrics, including the total number of links each site has, plus the domain authority of each site. Don't aim to get a domain authority of 55 or 60 or 65. Just aim to get your domain authority higher than your competitors so that you can beat them in the SERPs. Okay, I have one more important piece of link terminology for you now that we've gone over the concept of link equity, and that is follow versus no follow links. The nofollow attribute is a signal webmasters can send to the search engines to let them know they want them to treat a particular link a little differently. I'll explain how a nofollow attribute added to a link affects Google's crawl of that link, and I'll also show you how to identify nofollowed links. So a normal followed link from one website to another is kind of like an endorsement, as I mentioned earlier in the course. Followed links get crawled and indexed by the search engines as they pass from one page to another. They also pass link equity to the destination page and contribute to the destination page's page authority, as well as the destination website's domain authority. A no-followed link isn't quite an endorsement, it's more like just a mention. When the search engines come across a no-followed link from one page to another, they won't index the page on the far side of that link, or the destination page. A no-followed link doesn't pass any link equity, and it won't contribute to the destination page's page authority or the destination website's domain authority. In order to turn a followed link into a no-followed link, the webmaster adds this small code attribute, which you can see in bold text on the right, to the code for that particular link in HTML. You can have both followed and no-followed links on the same web page. Whether each link is followed or no-followed just depends on the presence of this little piece of code. Let me show you how to identify no-follow links within websites, and then we'll talk about why they exist. So there are a ton of browser extensions you can add to Chrome or Safari or whatever browser you're using that will help you find no-followed links by highlighting them or putting a red box around them or something similar. I'm going to show you how you can identify no-follow links using the Mozbar. Once you've got the Mozbar extension downloaded, it's free, and you turn it on in your browser, you're going to see that there are a few tools you can use at the left side of the bar. You're going to visit any website where you want to find no-follow links. In this case, we're using Twitter as an example, and then you'll click on the pencil icon on the left. When the pencil icon is highlighted, you'll also want to tell the Mozbar whether you want to highlight follow or no-follow links, or both. There are also options here for highlighting external versus internal links, as well as highlighting specific text, but we're focusing on followed and no-followed for now. In this example, we're highlighting both followed and no-followed links by clicking on followed and no-followed under the pencil icon in the Mozbar. Now, you can see that on the Twitter page we're visiting, all of the followed links are highlighted in green and all of the no-followed links are highlighted in pink. If we only wanted to see the no-followed links, we could click followed again to turn that green highlighting off. On Twitter and on pretty much every other social media platform too, virtually all external links are no-followed. You can see that the only links on this page that are follow links are the ones that link to other pages within Twitter. So a link back to Moz's main profile page, as well as links to our lists of followers and likes. There are also some links on this page that are no-followed, and those are the external links that point to somewhere outside of Twitter. They're the links that were added by the user, in this case Moz. Our profile page, like most Twitter profile pages, includes a link out to our website, and in this pinned tweet here at the top, we've also linked to a survey on an external website. Both of these links are no-followed, which means that when the search engines crawl this page, they won't index the pages on the other side of these links, and Twitter won't pass any link equity to Moz.com or contribute to our domain authority by featuring these links. As I said, you'll see that external links are no-followed on pretty much every social media platform. Here's the Moz Facebook page on the left with examples of no-followed links that point from Facebook to our website. On the right, we have another common example of a place you'll find no-followed links, and that's within the comments sections of blogs and product reviews. On the blog post on the right, someone added a comment here that's just an obvious product plug for a chainsaw sharpener, and there's a link in the comment that points to a product page for that sharpener. The Blogger software has automatically no-followed that link so that the Sausage Maker blog doesn't pass any link equity to the chainsaw sharpener website. When you look at these examples, it's pretty easy to see why the no-follow attribute exists. Anyone can add a link to anything they want as a tweet or on their Facebook profile or within a blog comment. But Twitter and Facebook and the Sausage Maker, as companies, don't necessarily want to endorse every piece of user-generated content that shows up on their websites. These links shouldn't necessarily count as votes from Twitter or Facebook or the Sausage Maker saying, yeah, we approve of the content on the other side. So they've built an automatic no-follow attribute in for every link that gets posted on their sites. But links aren't always no-followed because they're spammy or because they're created by a user base that's too massive to be trusted. Sometimes links that point to completely legitimate, relevant websites or pages get no-followed too. We'll talk more about why this is when we get into what makes a healthy backlink profile. I'll explain why no-follow links aren't always bad and how they can be an important part of your link building strategy. So now you know how links pass equity and how valuable that equity can be. You hopefully understand a little better how domain and page authority can help you gauge your link success thus far, and you know how no-followed links differ from equity passing followed ones. Thanks for joining me for this section on how links work, and I'll see you in the next one.